Welcome to this week's edition of Sportsline. I'm Evan Gentry. You're not. As the school year is coming to a close, we are starting to pile up for final exams and term papers. But the student athletes of USF are working harder than ever, both on and off the field. The Cougar tennis season comes to an end with a defeat from Upper Iowa in the NSIC tournament this past weekend. It was an incredible season for the USF tennis team, but the dream came to an end this weekend as the Cougars fell to the Peacocks. Entering the tournament as a 6th seed, the Cougars looked to make a run for the NSIC championship to send their seniors off into the sunset, but fell just short. Allison Koss and Emily Erickson dropped the #1 doubles. Joey Winberg and Kara Bunkers fell in the #2 doubles, and Abby Singthaler and Stacy Beard won at #3 doubles. Match play was halted when Upper Iowa clinched the match with wins in the 1, 4, and 5 singles. With the season ending came the farewells of seniors Joey Winberg, Allison Koss, Emily Erickson, and Stacy Beard, who earned the respect of all their teammates. Coach Kevin Grebben praised his team, saying, quote, "The team's performance today was like the rest of the year in that this was a great group of tennis players. It has been my privilege to coach," end quote. Record-breaking weekend for the Cougars track and field team this past weekend. It was a wild weekend for the Cougars in Orange City, Iowa, seeing multiple records being broken and several wins, including Courtney Crandall adding to her nation-leading vaulting marks. The junior shattered the old mark in women's pole vault this weekend at the Red Raider Open, a mark that she had been flirting with all year. Her 4.20 meter clearance passed former teammate Bridget Gross, tying for 5th all-time in Division II history. The Cougars continued the dominance in pole vaulting on the men's side as Jagger Gran and Scott Greenman tied for the top spot with a 5.05 meter clearance. The Cougars weren't done breaking records as just one day later, Haley Heinzeth set a new school record in the women's discus. Heinzeth previously held the #10 all-time spot until her career long throw of 43.26 meters surpassed the previous mark. The track and field team will be in action this weekend as pole vaulters head to the Drake Relays in Des Moines, Iowa. The distance runners will go to Hillsdale, Michigan for the Hillsdale College Relays, and the rest of the team will head to St. Peter, Minnesota for the Drake Alternative. We're going to take a short break, but coming up next will be head football coach Jed Stugart joining us in studio. Don't go anywhere.
At the University of Sioux Falls, students earn more than a degree. They gain an experience that transforms their lives. While they list the Christian community, dynamic professors, and premier career opportunities as top benefits, it's not just what they become, but who they become that USF graduates value most. USF, where you become who you become.
Welcome back to Sportsline. I'm Evan Gentry, and I'm joined by head coach of the football team, Jed Stugart. Coach, how you doing?
Evan, how are you? Good to be here today.
Good, excellent. So, spring ball's in full swing, almost done. You have the spring game on Friday. What are some of the things you guys have been really focusing on this spring ball?
Well, there's a series of things that we analyze after our season. Spring ball year to year can be different based on kind of your team's needs or where your team's at. You know, this year we feel like we incorporated a lot more competition, a lot more because we're evaluating a lot of positions, and you know, defensively we graduated some kids, and so it's, you know, there's a lot of positions open. We felt like we wanted to have that competition. Not that there isn't on offense, but we do bring back more of a veteran offense. But I think we have that kind of motto, iron sharpens iron, and so we've done a lot of stuff against each other in a lot of live situations. And the other thing too is just kind of looking at our weaknesses from last year And as you know, we emphasize a lot in situations and try to put our team in those game situations in practice. So, obviously we want to do better in the red zone. We felt like we've spent a lot of time in spring being in the red zone and working those things. So fun year, fun spring. It's an exciting time, but those are the things that we've been kind of working on.
Excellent. Now, observing some of the spring practices throughout this month of April, I've noticed that the intensity is a little bit higher than it was a year ago. A lot more players getting physical. What do you have to attribute that to?
Well, I think we even as a staff agreed that we needed to, maybe last spring we were controlling that too much, maybe out of fear of injury and those things, and we realized, our team is very frustrated at the fact that even though, they acknowledge that it's not a bad season last year, but around here, 9-3 and a one-loss playoff is not a successful season either, and so I think that's contributed to, things have intensified. That we dropped some games that we normally wouldn't drop and shouldn't drop, and don't want that to happen again. I would say that our guys are, and when you have a bunch of positions up for grabs too, I think that's going to lead to that intensity. But I always think that energy and intensity is good, and our guys are pretty good about monitoring that and being smart through it. And so I think it's been a good atmosphere in spring.
Excellent. So, looking at offense, you guys have majority of the starters coming back. I think you have a few offensive linemen, Derek Delaney not coming back. Mm-hmm. Defensively, you have 4 starters coming back, some guys that have had a chance to play here and there. What are you guys really looking for to fill those spots on defense?
Well, we graduated 3 starting linebackers, now because we had some injury there last year, we had some young guys that were able to play, but so we have a little bit of experience coming back there, but when you lose 2 of the best corners in our conference last year, 2 NFL type guys, obviously those are big shoes to fill in the corner spot. Cliff Redmond is a guy that played there a lot last year, so he actually brings back some experience, and we feel good there, but that other position's kind of wide open, as far as at the corner spot. Safety wise, again, we do bring back a little bit of veteran there, but really, up front on the D line, having you and Wes and guys back at the defensive end spot are comforting with some of the depth we have there. But on the other hand, we're very young and we're very light right now in the defensive tackle position. So that's a big part of defensively that we need to really focus on is up front in the defensive line as far as the tackles go. But we got good competition. We got good young guys fighting there for that.
Yeah, you see a lot of those guys stepping up. Some of the younger guys really taking an opportunity to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the biggest moves you guys have made offseason, Brian Mayberry went from a defensive end to a 3-tech, and he is doing exceptionally well. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, we've always felt that when we recruited Brian, that he would be a guy that would probably start to grow into that. We liked the way he played in high school. Our defensive line has to be very versatile. Defensive ends sometimes have to be able to play a 3 technique and things like that in emergency cases. But obviously, and that's because of that, what I spoke about is the big reason why we've kind of looked at Brian bumping him down. But obviously, depth is a big issue up front, with any team. That's where in the trenches is where guys tend to get kind of rolled up on and those types of things, and so you've got to make sure you got a lot of depth in there. And so anyway, that's we've been excited about that move for Brian. We think he's playing really well inside.
Yeah, and just watching the offense, Luke's been throwing the ball very well. Corbin Lawler, the backup, the lesser-known quarterback, some would say, he's been playing very well. All the receivers have really come along. Even the new guys that have stepped in this year that came in with the recruiting class a bit earlier. But before we head out, I do want to talk to you about Solomon and John Tidwell. Yeah. The draft is coming up fairly quickly in a few days. What are your thoughts on John and Solomon as they went through this kind of off-season process?
Well, it was exciting. I mean, we had, I think, 28 or 29 of the 32 teams that came through Sioux Falls through our practices in this past season, and that's really exciting. To have we don't, we're going to be very selective and really careful with who we recommend, because you can lose your reputation if you're just throwing guys out there that aren't reparable. And for Solomon and Tidwell to bring credibility helps our future guys, because every one of them come through have recognized that both these guys are legit, and that we kind of really hit right on to our evaluation, and that's going to be good for our future guys too. But it is exciting to watch this. Number one, it shows that the quality of Division II football, shows the quality of our program, that these guys are both having a lot of NFL interest. We've taken several calls over the last week, with John especially. Mostly the Broncos we hear from. The Raiders I talked to the other day are the two teams that have talked to me the most. Obviously they talk to their agents. And Solomon has just a bunch of teams that have really asked a lot of questions. I think the Chargers are a team that they see him possibly, because of John's size, Tidwell's size, he's had a little bit more interest. Solomon's a smaller corner, and so it's going to take teams that kind of see a guy like that fitting in their system. And so, but nothing, I've been through this before, an 20-year career, and had some guys that have gone on and play. You just never know, and sometimes the teams, at least, that haven't called at all are the ones that end up making a phone call, so you never know. It's been the craziest thing.
Well, we definitely wish Solomon and John luck this weekend as the draft happens, and then of course the post-draft with free agent signing. So we wish them the best luck. The spring game is this Friday, 7 o'clock at Bob Young Field. Coach Stugart will not be coaching, as the teams have been broken up into a gray team and a purple team. Offensive coordinator Dusty Havorka will be the purple head coach, and Tremaine Jackson will be the gray head coach. Come out and support the Coup this Friday. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Sportsline. I'm Evan Gentry. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.